I mean, I feel like you get to a certain point in your life where you understand generational wealth. Like you understand that it's a thing and you're like, oh, I didn't have that.
Right.
So then you have to rectify. You're like, I want that. But being in the industry that I'm in, I see all of the time people saying that they want things and never making the actions to actually take the steps forward of doing those things. And that's no knock against them sometimes, because if you just don't know the steps and you've never seen the steps, then how would you know, or how do you even get motivated to start doing it? Like it is it's a hard journey. It's enduring. But you are a person who is actually like physically in the mode of trying to take those steps and make those actions and figure out what it takes to get to the next level. What keeps you motivated about it? And I guess what's your thought process?
Mm. Well, for one, like I was thinking about this the other day, like my father in particular is like very arrogant. So like even when I was a kid, like it's so funny. So my him and his mom and their like family grew up in the projects. And like I would go there all the time. I didn't realize until I was like a teenager that like I'm a product of that. Like I always saw myself outside of it, as I always refer to myself as hood adjacent. Like I was like not in, I'm in the hood, but I'm just like popping in and out. Like, but I'm enough to be comfortable. So I say that to say that my father always had this arrogance about himself that like his nose up a little bit, but unwarranted, because it's like you a project nigga. Like what? But that level of arrogance trickled down into me and really believing that I deserve certain luxuries out of life. But he had all the arrogance but didn't back it up like financially. And so that alone, and like being in situations where I'm like, oh, I have no money, therefore I can't do X, Y, and Z. Like it was a simple formula to me, and I never could understand the money doesn't buy happiness thing. It does. It's not one to one, but like, nah, bruh. Like you need some bread in this country to have a smile on your face. Like ain't like I don't believe in broke happy people. So that said, what motivates me? Like it was instilled, and having been broke before, but also having been around people that had bread, like being on both ends of the spectrum, to be like, oh, like they're no different. They just took these steps, or they had these systems in place generationally. So it was like either one or the other. So it was like, okay, like that's not abstract to me. It just has to be done.
Yeah. I had a similar situation because like so I grew up in Co-op City, and Co-op City in the Bronx is such a like little community, a circle inside of the circle. And Seacall is the projects that's right up the block. That's where my mom grew up at. But people always ask me growing up, like, oh, is Co-op City part of the Bronx? Like they never understood it. So it did allow for that isolation. So even when you go back to like the hood, like you said, even if it was 5-10 minutes up the block, there was a very big distinction and differentiation. And my mother, like you, and in hindsight, I realized that like when she got to Co-op, she was like, I don't even want to be here. This is my stepping stone to get to the next place. But
Right.
she was like taking the steps to remove herself because she was wanted to get away from all of the things that she had dealt with. She had decided like, nah, she was the oldest kid. So she had always have to give things up for her little sister. So she started working at 14, 15 years old. And she was like, when I want something, it's mine. If I want designer stuff, it's mine. And that's always been her mind state. But the reflection that had on me is I grew up a little spoiled because that was so ingrained in her that it was ingrained in me without me having to deal with the struggle of it, right? So like as a Bronx kid, we spent all of our weekends in Jersey, Garden State Mall, like Palisades. Like we don't shop in the Bronx, we don't do nothing in the Bronx because we're always trying to go out and see all of the things that weren't privy to us and weren't around us. And it was, and you know, that's when it made me extremely pretentious. It made me extremely like bougie. But it didn't make me happy, you know, because I had no value to anything. So me, I want freedom. I want, you can't tell me this, you can't tell me that. Like I'm so punk is only because there was a privilege that allowed me to get there. So I was one of those people that's like, I don't need money. Money's not what gets you happiness, just because I never really went without. But I'm also, when I did start making my own decisions, I had to start dealing with that. You know, I had to realize I'm going to make my own path and pave my own way. Yeah, sometimes I'm broke, and sometimes I literally have $1 to my name, and I don't know where my next dollar is coming from. And I learned that value in the opposite way. I had to go from like my comfortable place to reach the rock bottom, achieve the freedom I wanted at the rock bottom, but understand how can I never want to go through this again, and how can for the rest of my life I'm able to do everything that I want to do, regardless of the price, regardless of anything. So you have a daughter who is like in the midst of all of this. Are you taking steps to like try to change what you feel like your father didn't exactly develop in you?
Well, yes. So like from a practical standpoint, like I always let her know that things are transactional, like whether we want to believe it or not. So like we want to do something that costs money. In order to make money, you have to make money, like just the steps of how it all works. And I have these conversations with her on a regular basis so that she doesn't become an adult and it's shocking. Like I see too many people that enter their 20s and it's shocking of like, damn, like adulthood is, I don't want it to be overwhelming. I want to just be like normal. And not that making money equals adulthood, but it's just, we have open conversations. So like one, we communicate about money a lot. I also call out people who are less privileged. And I'm like, you know, I don't know their story. But all I know is I don't want to be that. So like I use examples, but then also just putting systems in place. So like setting up for retirement, making sure that I'm putting investments in place for the future, making sure that in some ways, like I splurge, but like for the most part, like I keep myself relatively, like I haven't, my cost of living hasn't increased as that much as I make more money. Like keeping that level so that we don't get used to certain luxuries that we're not going to be able to sustain. The one thing I need to work on is like eating out and stuff, but like at least I know how to cook so that if I can't order out, like we gonna eat good. But it's just like that's probably the one splurge that we do on a regular basis. But other than that, like I'm like, girl, now we going to Old Navy. Like I'm in H&M, like scared to buy shit because I'm like, $10 for a shirt, like this seems a lot for an H&M shirt.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what automatically, or at least I would say maybe that was my first step to like financial recovery. Getting into this industry, under like looking at my life, looking at my perspective, and being like, yo, you make bad financial decisions based off trauma. It's just like, you know what it is to not have it before. You will hold on to it. You will do things, but you're doing it based off of fears that you've had before. And like, that's what, you know, you can afford it, that H&M shirt, but you're like, do I want to? Because it's a trauma of like, I've lost, or maybe I've lost it, but I've never had it before. Do I want to never have it before and then have to look at this shirt and be like, I didn't need it?
Exactly. And it's like, get the fucking shirt. But like it's hard acquiring like the acquisition of things. I get buyer's remorse, and like mainly on clothes. So I don't buy as much anymore. And even like toward like pre-COVID, like the last 2 years, I was really big on quality pieces. It's like I spent a lot of money on clothes, but because I can have this jacket for 10 years. I can have these boots for 3 winters and I know I'm okay. So yeah.
That's what my sneaker collection is. Like I have spent money on sneakers. Like I have had a lot of them. Now I'm not so interested in just having every sneaker I want. Now I'm about quality. Now I'm about like independent ownerships, like black owned. Like that's where I'm at now. But I know I feel good. I don't feel bad about my sneaker collection because the value is there. Like I could wear some until the soles start busting and breaking on those. Like I can go into my closet right now and at any moment look at something and be like, feel good about it, wear it, bring new life to it. Like, yes, there's stuff I haven't worn in a year, but when I do wear it, I'm going to feel good about it. But I also look at all my clothes collections that I amassed throughout the years, and I'm like, this is so much waste and junk. All I want to do now is wear stuff that I make, stuff that my friends make, but I'm like, I have all of this. And what could this have been? Could this have been vacations and things like that? But now it's just about me changing that and moving forward. But now when I'm shopping, like I got to buy shorts for summer. Summer's here.
Yeah.
I got to buy shorts. And like I have the tabs open, but I'm just like, what's the best deal? Is this what I'm looking for? Like, nah, bro.
True. I'm in a scenario right now, and like Camille is being so encouraging, but like Nike Blazers, they have this series of a collection where the check mark is a different animal print. So back at home, I have 2 out of the 3 of the prints. And we happen to pass a sneaker store here in Mexico that had the 3rd of the 2. And so I had it in my hand. I was like, nah, I did not come here today for this. This is not what we went out for today. And she kept like, she'll bring it up every so often. She'll like, you should go get those sneakers. And she remember how happy I was when I got the original, like the other 2. And she's like, why? Like, go get those sneakers. And so I don't know why I can't bring myself to it. On one hand, it's like, it's almost like, and this is so superficial, but I guess you like sneakers, so you'll feel me. Like on one hand, I'm like, yo, I can't believe I'm about to complete I can actually complete the collection. There was something in it, the thrill of looking for it or going on StockX and see, like the thrill of that was what was exciting. Holding it in my hand, I was like,
because you don't need them, and you know you don't need them. That's what it is. Like you're like, I don't need them. In a sense, it is a waste of money. The 2 pairs that you have are not even with you right now. They're back at home in a different country. But I feel like, and yeah, that's true. Like, you got to kill that a little bit. You got to kill, like, why does this make me happy? And you do it. Part of it is just the chase of wanting it and having it. Yeah, like there's a pair of SBs that came out yesterday, and like I was there at 9:59 on the sneakers app. I had it open on my iPad and on my phone, and I only did one of them because I was like, I don't want to end up with 2 pairs of them, and I did with them, and I'm like, this is I should be angry right now, but I'm like, you know what? I didn't need them.